Look at this handsome beast. We've got the Bersa USA, that's right, American-made B1911. Coming up next, you'll see absolute first shots through the gun, full magazine plus one. We'll try a multi-mag since there's plenty of 1911 magazines out there. Take it to the what's for dinner table to see what the gun eats, over to the spinner for sights and trigger control, do some practical accuracy, and then give you my concluding thoughts. All coming up next on GBGuns. All right, we are about 22-ish yards from a C-zone piece of steel. Poor old target camera, good job. There we go, absolute first shots through the gun. I've got 8 rounds of PMC bronze, 230 grain. See how it goes. I will say the included Mult-Mag magazine started getting a little finicky around the 6th round, but maybe that'll break in over time. I'm gonna be playing with the safety here. Been a while since I've shot 45. Man, it certainly makes a different noise on the steel, doesn't it? That hits. Very smooth though. It's been a while since I shot 45. I forgot about that push versus snap recoil that it has. But the checkering on the front strap and back strap here really locks the gun in hand. Next, I'll fill this mag up and we'll try full mag plus one. All right, top off our one from another mag. Goes in just fine as one would expect. 9 rounds of 230 grain. That's a lot of grains. And runs fine. Let's see what kind of magazines it likes. 1911's been around for, well, a long time. You guys can do the math. I'm not a mathematician. So I have a variety of magazines here. I want to use them in what's for dinner, but to make sure that they are not the variable that causes a potential issue, we need to make sure they run in the gun first. Some of them are labeled clearly. This one I believe is an ACT mag. I'll have pictures of the ones that work in the article for those of you looking to get more mags yourself. 3 rounds. No issues. A Wilson Combat. Now, those of you that have shot a lot of 1911s, come on. What's going on here? Are we all doing battery? There we go. Know that not all 1911 mags work in all 1911s, and just because it works in one doesn't mean it'll work in another. Just because it doesn't in one doesn't mean it won't in another. So this is always an experiment. Man, you really got to put a little more wrist into it than you do with 9mm. It's been a while. This one I know is an old one because it's got rust on it. This is from my first handgun, which was a 45 1911, about 20 years ago. It almost seems like I'm turning that steel, doesn't it? We have an ACT mag. That one in nice and smooth. And one of the goofy +10 stendos, because when you have this, you can't say extend. All right, we are in business. All of those worked fine. So now we can see what the gun eats in. Thanks to our Ammo Squared and patron supporters, it's what's for dinner time. Today we're going from 78 grain plus P all the way up to 230 grain. As I roll past these, you'll notice that they each have different ogive locations, overall lengths, different case materials. The goal of this is to see, will the gun load from slide lock? Will it cycle another round of the same type? Will it lock open on empty? Testing beyond that is a test of the ammo mag combination. You're welcome to do that on your own. If you're curious to try any of this stuff, head on over to the pinned comment at gbgunsdepot.com. We will link to the stuff where we can find it. We are 7 yards back from some 2-inch circles that will serve as a general aiming point. Remember, we're looking to see just does this ammo work with the gun. If there are any wild impact differences, that's kind of fun too. First up is the Liberty Defense 78 grain plus P. This ammo screams out of here. Circle 1. My hand was not depressing the grip safety. Yep. Nice big old holes. Circle 2 is Hornady Critical Defense. This is a 185 grain. They're with their FTX bullet. Definitely more recoil, but also nice shooting. Circle 3 at 200 grain is the funny little top hat from Black Hills. They call this the SWC, semi-wad cutter. Smoky. But grouped very nicely. Man, even left smoke on the outside of the barrel. Now the Spirit smells a bit like candles, probably the wax on the lead. Spirit Gold Dot, 230 grain. And target malfunction. Let me get that fixed. And we're back up. Circle 5, the Ammo Inc. 230 grain hollow point. Probably help if I took the other mag out first, right? Make sure I'm still in frame after moving. Should be all right. Again with the grip safety. You know, this grip safety is not as large as I've handled other guns, but I think it's just the way I'm gripping it is wrong. I'm making the error. Blazer aluminum, 115 grain. We use aluminum steel case. For some reason you guys do. It's cheaper. However, it's got greater friction between the cases stacked in the magazine, greater friction going into and out of the chamber. It also expands and contracts at a different rate than brass does. So not all guns like it. Circle 6. Still in frame. That ammo stinks, but shot very nicely. Now on to Circle 7, tool ammo. Let's take a pause to remember cheap Russian ammunition. No longer available in the US, but I still have some, and it may come back someday, so let's see. Smoky. Circle 8, Federal HST Tactical, 230 grain. By far the most recoil out of the bunch so far. Circle 9, Sig Sauer's IPA, Elite Performance Ammunition at 230 grain. Yeah, interesting. The box shows a nickel-plated case. This is brass-plated, or brass, not nickel-plated at all. Also, some serious recoil, but printed very nicely. And our 10th load is the Remington Ultimate Defense full-size handgun, 230 grain, brass-jacketed hollow point, BJHP. This gun eats it all. People say 1911s don't like hollow points, 45 blah blah blah. However, no issues with the Bersa. Now let's take it over to the spinner for sights and trigger control. We are now 13 yards away from a 6-inch spinner target. Use this target for sights and trigger control because as I hit it, it starts moving. It's a small target at distance that's moving. That requires a fine sight picture and timing the shot if I want to keep it moving in the same direction, eventually flipping it over the top. This is also somewhat a demonstration of muzzle energy using that 230 grain PMC bronze. Let's see what we get out of this hand cannon. A 3-shot kill, that's what we got. Buck Graham, the target fell over. We didn't get to see it all. First off, don't call me Buck Graham. That's only a thing in Vegas and I don't work for them. Secondly, what we saw there was timing a well-placed shot. Was not difficult to do with this thing. You've got a 1911 crisp trigger. You've got excellent night sights, blacked out rear, orange and tritium front sight. Control of it and enough muzzle energy to do the damage quickly. That's the whole thing with a 5-inch 45. Now let's go over and do some practical accuracy. 5 shots from 7 yards at a 1-inch square. Use this for, well, accuracy because it's a small target. Tends to be about the same width of the front sight post at this distance. Also, this is when I gather my concluding thoughts on the gun. Using the PMC bronze. Not terrible. Well, maybe not my best shooting. I can't blame the gun for it all. It's hot. I'm a Northwest guy. I prefer the cooler weather. But this thing serves exactly as intended. It's a slightly modernized 1911. Doesn't have a rail. It's not red dot ready, all that kind of stuff, but it does have excellent traction, good controls, good clean brake. It's American made. It's handsome, and it flings ashtrays, which is what you want in a 45 1911. Nice piece. It, you know, we've reviewed quite a few of the budget 1911s that are out there that are just kind of, if you want a 1911 and you're looking to get the platform, sure. We've reviewed a couple of the nice high-end, really expensive ones that maybe you feel guilty about taking out or shooting. This fits right in the middle. It's not inexpensive, but it's also not an uber premium price tag for a good, solid gun. If you're looking for a buy once, cry once purchase, that's where I would place this among the 1911s. There are cheaper ones out there by far that you may later regret, or may later say, okay, now that I know the platform, I want to try a nice one, and then you're buying again. There's also guns out there that cost a whole lot more, that might feel a little nicer, might look a little nicer, depending on your personal perception. Are they going to outperform this? I don't think so. If there was anything, I might give this a trigger job, but that's only if I'm looking for that crisp, light, competition-oriented type thing. This trigger fits right in there. Defensive use and casual use, being safe, but not being too heavy. If you wanted to go fast, then maybe you want to do a trigger job. But the good news is there's also 123 years now of aftermarket support, so you can find the trigger you want and drop it right in. It's not that complicated. I used to have a video on it until YouTube made me take down anything that was gunsmithing related, including installing drop-in parts. So Bersa B1911 is a nice one. Definitely on the considerate list. If you don't like the blue and silver, they have other colors. If you don't like the blue, welcome to 1911s. There's also a million companies out there making grips that you can swap by just removing and replacing 2 screws. Super easy. It's part of the fun of 1911 ownership. When Bersa USA announced these, I thought, oh, it's kind of a crowded space to get into. There's a lot of 1911 makers out there, and I wasn't sure where they'd fit, and I think we figured it out. A good gun, good, solid gun that is not too cheap, not too expensive, but is going to perform. So congrats to Bersa. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.